16th Board of Control meeting. It is now 11:01 a.m. We have Nan Baker, Dale Miller, Trevor Macular serving as an alternate for Dan Brady, Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Mike Dever, Dennis Kennedy serving as an alternate for Armin Budish,
Here.
Lenora Lockett. We have a quorum.
Okay, the first item is to review the minutes of the meeting of September 9th. If everybody has taken the time to look at those in advance, are there any questions, comments, changes to the minutes? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? The item is approved. Is there any public comment today?
No public comment at this time,
Are there any?
and no tabled items.
So we go on to the first scheduled item.
Yes, the first item is a two-part item, item number BC 2019-685, Department of Public Works. A, submitting an RP exemption which will result in a purchase and sale agreement with Kenneth D. Newsel and Luann Newsel in the amount of $9,603.20 for permanent parcel number 53121-605, located adjacent to I-480 along Little Creek Parkway in Brooklyn Heights. And B, recommending the purchase agreement in connection with said RP exemption.
Mike Chambers, Public Works. We're asking for approval of this item. This is a total of 12,000 square feet that's landlocked, and this owner's been maintaining this thing for 20, 30 years. The county is going to retain an easement in the case or the event that we do need to access our lines, and it's a non-buildable lot because of the easement, and we're asking for your approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilman Miller.
Mr. Newsel has contacted me personally on this matter, and I appreciate the support of the administration in moving this forward. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2019-686, Department of Development, recommending an award and enter into an agreement with City of Shaker Heights in the amount not to exceed $400,000 for demolition of vacant, abandoned, nuisance, or blighted structures in connection with Round 9 of the Cuyahoga County Property Demolition Program. And it's for the period September 16, 2019 through December 31st, 2020.
Good morning, Sarah Parks Jackson with the Department of Development. We are requesting approval of an award to the City of Shaker Heights for the demolition of 20 residential structures. As of today, the demolition fund has an available balance of $2.3 million. We have 6 contracts that will actually expire by 12/31/2019, so that number can go up or possibly stay the same.
Thanks, Sarah. Are there any questions related to this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
BC 2019-687, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Unified Solutions, Inc. for SAP Human Capital Management Support Services, and is for the period July 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2019, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $376,000.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This contract amendment is for actual staffing support from Unify for the SAP, which runs our payroll and our HR processes for the county. This is to add additional funds in order to allow the non-ERP work to continue for the county.
Are there any questions about this item?
We had some advanced questions I wanted to address. Also, we received a question of, will this contract go away once we go live with the ERP? The answer is yes. This is one of the contracts we factored that would go away once ERP goes live. And one of the other questions was, if the ERP project was on time, would we have needed this contract extension and additional funds? And no, we would not have needed this.
Thank you. Any additional questions from anybody? Councilwoman Baker?
So if these funds are needed because of the addition, is this included then? I mean, we I think, extended the dollars that are needed, or are being asked to extend the dollars.
So this contract had two portions. There's two suffixes for this contract. This part is the general operation. So we need this to keep going. And we have another part of it that's directly in the ERP. That's for data migration.
So the data migration part of it, is that, would you say that's half or?
No, not half. I would have to get you the numbers to get you the exact amount, but that was already factored into the ERP budget.
It was?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McAleer?
Councilwoman Baker, can I just ask a follow-up question to what you
Sure,
asked? Were
thanks.
you asking, is this amount of the 376 in the new numbers that we heard last week and that we're going to hear today?
Right, that's pretty much right.
Okay, because I believe
No.
that answer is not no. That's not included.
This
in the
is
overall
something,
budget.
yeah, no, this is something completely separate. This is in the IT budget.
So, I mean, when you're thinking about the
ERP.
additional cost, it's not in that number, but this is an additional expense because the project is delayed.
Right, because we have to continue the general operations for things that we had going prior to the ERP.
I guess when we're talking about the added dollars, when we extend it like to March of next year, we should be factoring in these type of expenses also that don't perhaps show up on the radar when we're talking about what the costs are by extending it an extra 3 or 4 months. So I guess we should be, I mean, I'm not sure how many know that we're adding another 400,000 to the ERP budget.
Just talk to Maggie Keenan briefly. She said she has a report generated of additional costs
Okay.
that she can provide council.
Knowing Maggie, I'm sure it's it's there somewhere. Thank you.
I'm sure it goes more than just from what IT has too, so.
Right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item is approved.
Next item, item BC 2019-698, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with MHC, it's 688, excuse me, with MHC Software LLC for enterprise resource planning, printing, integration, software licenses, support, and implementation services. And it's for the period October 27, 2016 through October 26, 2021, to expand the scope of services by adding a Document Express 1099G tax module, a Document Employee Self-Service module, associated maintenance, and to change the terms to include security requirements, all effective on September 16th, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $12,990.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. So with this particular amendment, we are de-scoping a couple of 1099 modules that were originally included in the scope of work for MHC and adding in the 1099G, as Andrea previously stated, and also the document employee self-service module to allow employees to access items on their own through the ERP. And we did notice that through the original agreement, security requirements weren't added into the contract, and we added them into the contract here. And we're adding in the $12,990, which we did present as part of the presentation in regards to the ERP budget.
Questions? Councilwoman Miller?
Why is additional money required?
So the D-scope was for the 1099 module. So when you D-scope and then add in the 1099 G-scope, so that is a $0 amendment. So the 13,000 was to add in the document of the employee self-service module. That's the fee for that particular module.
And we don't get any savings from the de-scoping.
No, it was a one-for-one trade out and then adding on an additional module.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. Okay, all those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2019-689, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Applewood Centers, Inc. for secure residential treatment services for the period January 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2020, to expand the scope of services to include female youth referrals, and to provide program outcomes and reporting requirements, to modify the terms to change the per diem rate effective July 1st, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $400,000.
Good morning, Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is just an amendment to our contract with Applewood, who provides secure residential treatment services for us. This is part of our targeted reclaim grant, so they're serving only our felony level adjudicated youth. Previously, we only had the male youth incorporated into this contract, but now we're adding in the female population as well. And we're also adding in some outcome reporting. So the vendor will be providing weekly capacity reports and more quarterly reports for us so that we can better monitor the youth that are there.
Thank you. Any questions related to this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-690, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, and Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with Case Western Reserve University on behalf of the Begun Center for Violence Prevention, Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences, for multi-systemic therapy training and consultation services, and is for the period July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $75,600.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. We partner with DCFS on this contract with Case, and they provide for both teams the training and consultation services that are required to provide MST services. So we're getting weekly phone consultation, we're getting 4 booster trainings each year for both teams, and they also have the ability to train any new therapists that start either at the court or over at DCFS.
Thank you. Any questions related to this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item. Item number BC 2019-691, Medical Examiner's Office. A, submitting an RP exemption on requisition 45704, which will result in an award recommendation to Life Technologies Corporation in the amount not to exceed $93,442.36 for maintenance services on 2 AB7500 SDS real-time PCR systems and 3 genetic analyzers. And it's for the period August 21st, 2019 through August 20th, 2022. B, recommending the award in connection with said RP exemption.
Maggie Keaton, Office of Budget Management. Both Hugh and Dr. Gilson were unavailable today. So probably I'm just going to be collecting your questions and I can get answers for you. We did have an advanced question as to why this is RFP exemption instead of sole source, and that was recommendation from the law department.
Thank you. Any questions related to this item? Councilwoman Baker?
Given it was recommendation from the law department, can you enhance on that?
I cannot, I wasn't involved in that one.
Sorry, Jared. I don't know who the lawyer is. I only got that question about 20 minutes ago, so I don't know who the lawyer is, but I'll follow up. Okay. Or you, okay.
I'm happy to follow up for you as well.
Thank you, Jared.
Any other questions? Councilman Miller? No? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Chambers. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-692, Office of the Medical Examiner, recommending an award on requisition 46336 and enter into a contract with All Star Laundry Services, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $45,110, and it's for laundry services for the period December 1st, 2019 through November 30th, 2022.
Maggie Keenan, Office of Budget Management. The medical examiner has worked with this vendor before for several years, and the cost is virtually the same as it has been in previous years.
Any questions related to this? Councilman Miller?
What was the procurement process? Was this bid out?
This was bid.
And how many bids were received?
That I don't know, but I can follow up.
Any other questions on this? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, BC 2019-693, Office of the Medical Examiner, recommending an award on requisition 45706 and enter into a sole source contract with Hitachi High Technologies America, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $40,928 for preventative maintenance services on the Hitachi S3400N2 PCVP scanning electron microscope. And it's for the period September 1st, 2019 through August 31st, 2022.
Maggie Keenan, Office of Budget Management. This is to maintain one of the microscopes in the medical examiner's office. We have worked with this vendor before for this service, and this is funded by the coroner's lab, not the general fund.
Any questions related to this item? Councilman Miller?
Is this a new contract or is this the renewal of an existing contract?
I don't know, but I know that we have worked with this vendor before. So likely it's a renewal, but I'm not sure.
Andre, do you get any?
Didn't hear the question. Can you repeat the question?
The question is whether this is the renewal of an existing contract or whether this is a new contract.
I'll follow up.
No, this is a renewal of a prior contract. The prior contract was in the amount of $37,620. And then Maggie, I just wanted to clarify, you said that the funding source is general fund. It's not general fund, but it's the medical examiners.
No, it's the lab fund.
Okay. Okay, I thought you said.
Statutorily, it's called the coroner's lab.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Mr. McAleer?
Just to confirm with the OPD, they're okay with the sole source?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved.
Next item, item BC 2019-694, County Prosecutor's Office, submitting an amendment to a contract with Millennium Investor Group 5, LLC, for lease of space for the period August 1st, 2011 through July 31st, 2019, to extend the time period to July 31st, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $24,305.90.
Thank you. Mark Greenfield, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney at the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. I am in fact here today to ask for an approval of a renewal of a contract, a lease for 1 year, an existing 1 year renewal within the body of the contract as negotiated from August 1st of this year through July 31st of next year for space for the unit State of Ohio Office of the Division, State of Ohio Division, Internet Crimes Against Children. They work out of an inconspicuous space on the west side of Cleveland. They've been there for at least 11 years. A good working relationship with the present landlord. The rent is increased only by about 5 or 6% in that 11-year period. And the space is specially retrofitted to serve the needs of the division, which includes an overhead door for the vehicles to go in and out, not something you would normally see in a shopping center, and as well as special computer equipment. The unit's been happy with the location, and it would be expensive and difficult to find an alternative space, and I, based on all of those things, ask for approval of the renewal in the amount of $24,305.90. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Meckler?
Mark, have we looked at doing a longer lease to see if we can get a better price? Because I know we do 1 year lease extensions. Have we talked with the landlord about doing longer term?
Yeah, so this is actually a 5-year lease. I don't want to make it to be a matter of semantics. This was a 5-year lease. It was a 2-year term initially, and then the tenant, that's us, ICAC, excuse me, has the right to extend for 3 one-year periods, giving us the flexibility to stay or go should the space no longer be working for the unit. So this is the second of the 3-year terms, and the rent does go up a couple of dollars. It's not much more than that, really, during the course of years 3 through 5. We didn't, with respect to your question, if I haven't already answered it, we gave a little bit on the rent in order to have the flexibility to leave. But again, from 2008, and I was just looking at this, which is about the time Mr. Furtari and I from ICAC, David Furtari is here, from that time until now, the rent's gone up about, over the course of those 11 years, 6%.
I see what you're saying there. To me, the rationale of why we're staying there makes sense. It just doesn't seem the reality of us leaving is high. So that's why I was curious if a longer term commitment would help even lower it.
All right, well, to your point, I will have the discussions with the people at ICAC that would help me negotiate those kind of decisions. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Baker.
Point of clarification, the notes say from 8/1/2011
Oh, well.
through 7/31/2018.
You know, I'm not an attorney. I don't work at the prosecutor's office, so why would I read this? So,
So that's like,
yeah,
you
so
know.
that was facetious. I try never to be sarcastic. And so it was facetious. Yes, that was a long time ago. And the first part of that, 8/1, should be 2019. And the second part of that should be 2020.
That's the 1 year, but the original contract for the lease of space, at least according to these notes, are, if I'm reading it correctly, is 8/1/2011.
Okay,
That
so
would be a 7 or 8 year.
So that's all. That is not correct. There was a lease. It bounced back and forth. There was a bankruptcy of the prior landlord. That lease went from 2011 to 2014. Then the lease was renewed, or actually a new lease was entered into. that went through 16, and then in 16, there was a 2-year lease, which I just referenced in the answer to the prior question, through 7/31/18, with now 3 one-year renewals, in which we are asking this body to approve the second of those 3-year renewals. So I apologize for not reading it closely enough to make the correction. I saw the rent was correct, and I did actually see, now that I think about it a little bit more, which one could question from the beginning, that the error really isn't on the 1-year term, but it's when the lease began, 2011, because if I read a little more closely, it says on the second line, 7/31/2019, to extend the time period to 7/31/2020. That's correct. But this lease term actually started in 2016, went to 2018. I'm writing it down so that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. And then 2018 to 2021 are 3 one-year extensions, and we are asking this body to approve the second of those.
Andre, did you want to say anything?
I was waiting for him to finish.
Like, because you didn't know when I was going to stop talking.
The records that we have and that we reviewed, these were amendments, and the original date was for August 1st, 2011, and you had a succession of amending or exercising an option to continue. So the records that we have and the documentation that we have reflect 8/1/2011.
Okay.
Okay, Councilman Miller?
If you ask me a question, I might keep talking. Okay, so.
Moved for approval. It's moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval of this item indicate by saying aye. Any
Thank
opposed?
you. Oh, sorry.
The item is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving on to exemptions. Item number BC 2019-695, Department of Public Works, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 46555, which will result in a purchase and sale agreement with Cleveland Commerce Center, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $300,000 for the purchase of permanent parcel numbers 10431-022, 099, and 023, encompassing approximately 125 previously leased parking spaces located at East 40th Street and Perkins Avenue in the city of Cleveland, and it's for the use by Division of Children and Family Services.
Good morning, John Myers on behalf of Department of Public Works. I'm here for purposes of exemption to purchase this particular lot, which is located at East 40th and Perkins. We've come before you before on some other parking-related issues. This parking lot has been under lease for more than a dozen years, for many years actually, to service 125 spots to service the Department of Children and Family Services, which is located up East 40th Street. Since the time of this initial lease, we've also entered into a long-term relationship at the Halley, now the County Archives building, and have had increased parking needs. Due to the nature of the work for the employees in Children and Family Services, the county requires them to use their own vehicles. So as part of their compensation, they are provided parking to be able to go in and out in order to do their work each and every day. So the need for parking is great, probably over 500 to 600 spaces just for CFS alone, let alone the Archives and BOE building. So we have tried to start an effort to gain some control of some parking because we're exposed in these long-term leases should development, which is heating up in Midtown Corridor, provide other opportunities for the current landlord. So we finally were able to convince this particular landlord to sell us this lot, which we have leased for many years and have long-term plans to continue using it. So it is in the neighborhood where we need it. There are little or no other options available to us, and it serves our purpose, and we're seeking an exemption to directly negotiate a purchase and sale agreement with this owner.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilman Miller?
I definitely recognize the need to control parking spaces in this area. This is an area where the county is going to have a lot of activity for the foreseeable future between DCFS and the Board of Elections and various other things in the area. And given the amount of development competition in that area, we definitely need to control parking spaces. My question is, do you have an expectation as to how soon you will come back to us with the actual agreement?
It's ready to go, Mr. Chair, to Councilman Miller. The purchase agreement is signed and executed by the person we're purchasing it from, Cleveland Commerce, and so we're ready to introduce this at your next council meeting. So we'll be acting quickly and wanted to take this step just to formalize the exemption for the purchase process.
Okay, fine.
Any other questions? Mr. McAleer?
Morning, John. In just terms of timing, what took so long for us to purchase this? I mean, we just did we had 2 5-year deals, it looks like, and then we renewed it sometime last year. And I mean, we spent over $650,000 so far in leasing it when we could have bought it for $300,000.
Well, because we have to have a willing seller, so it's taken quite some time both to get our fiscal agreement in line and the seller in agreement, and so we're at that point. So I would have loved to have bought this lot 10 years ago, but we have to have a willing seller and a willing buyer.
But wasn't the seller willing to sell it when we were discussing the latest 5-year? I mean, because I thought when this contract the lease came forward last year,
yes,
there was discussions of us buying the lot then.
We had pursued that at that time, and our OBM wasn't able to support us at that time to purchase it at the time of the renewal, so we negotiated as part of the lease that we would have the option in 2019 to purchase the lot.
Okay. Do we is the lease terminated upon the closing date?
Yes, and by nature of the deal, we become the owner, so we become the beneficiary of the leasehold. But essentially, in practice, the lease payments will cease, and we will be the owner in fee simple.
And then just going back to May of 18, when the new 5-year lease went into place, was Cleveland Commerce willing to sell us the lot at that point, and the issue was with OBM?
Yes.
Okay. I think, John, just moving, I mean, that would have been, I think, helpful knowledge back in May of 2018, knowing that, because we spent another, 80, 90 grand in lease payments, probably even more than that and that's a third of the purchase price.
I would agree, and Public Works had advocated at that time purchasing it, and as it ended up, the owners, for tax purposes, wanted to not close before now. So since we ultimately had to work with them, this is the timing that it ended up being.
Thanks, John.
Any other? Councilwoman Baker?
Given we're purchasing it, what kind of condition is it in? Have they maintained it? Will you be coming back for dollars to repair and stripe and all?
There will be some surface work done. It's generally been maintained, but it is an older lot, and it will need some surfacing, resurfacing, and striping to just as part of our job to maintain it. So, and we have some other thoughts too to make it more oriented towards the Hallie and the BOE and archives use as well. That would make it more oriented as well to their use.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Chambers. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? The item is approved. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2019-696, Department of Information Technology, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 46262, which will result in an award recommendation to Tech Communications, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $1,190,395 for the purchase of various Cisco Enterprise licenses and support services. And it's for the period September 30th, 2019 through September 29th, 2024.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This is a contract that we're submitting under the state term contract. We contacted Cisco directly, as these are Cisco Enterprise licenses, and we could not purchase directly from Cisco, and they directed us to the state term. We did receive 3 quotes back, and TEC came back with the lowest cost.
Are there any questions about this item? Councilman Miller.
Could you elaborate on the process a little bit? If we're doing state term, how do we get varying prices from different bidders?
So Cisco sets the price as the manufacturer of the licenses, and so what really happens with the reseller is how much margin that they're willing to accept. Mm-hmm. So that's how we got different pricing ranges. So TEC had a lower margin on top of whatever Cisco charged them, and they passed that cost on to us.
And how much is that margin?
I don't have that information directly of how much the margin is.
Would you find out and
see if we can find out?
Get back to me. So obviously you're saying then if we could have bought it directly from Cisco, we could have gotten it for less, but
it's possible, but we couldn't contract directly with Cisco, and they generally don't. They usually farm it out to resellers.
okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Meckler. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
We're moving on to the consent agenda. Item numbers BC 2019-697 through 700.
If everybody will take a moment to reacquaint themselves with the information on the consent agenda. And at this time, are there any, I know there was a question, 2 questions in writing, right?
Yes, we had questions in regards to travel. It was item number BC 2019-699 for the Department of Information Technology, and they did respond to the question.
A question on 698 with Mainsail. There was going to be a presentation just to let us know how we can extend this contract 3 months with no extra cost. I guess you're just shuffling money around, or?
Janelle Green, Department of IT. So with the ERP project director, Jack Ryan, he's going to manage the resources. By the time we brought the original extension, the second amendment back when we did that a few months ago, the dates didn't align to where the project was. And so now this is realigning that. And from what I gather, Jack is going to do a presentation as far as how he's basically budgeting the resources across without asking for any additional funds.
Okay, so we'll be hearing from him soon.
Yes.
We'll ask that question. Thank you.
Janelle, there was also another question. This was on the purchase order list for your department, and it was for requisition 46709 for high-speed internet. Why are we still at the Sterling building, which will require high-speed internet circuit service and installation?
We still have servers at the Sterling building. That's where it connects with Blue Bridge. It's not installation. We already had that line, that circuit up and running already. This is just adding on 2 years to that same circuit.
Mr. McLaren?
You know, and you might not know this right now, but what are the difference between the servers there and then our servers in Columbus at the data warehouse?
So just from my very overview, I'm not technical in regards to that, but we have the SOC in Columbus for some redundancy. For getting into the technical realm of that, I'd have to involve like Andy Moles, the CTO, to get more information that I don't, where all the things sit and what their purposes and things like that. He would have to provide more information.
I might be able to help just a little bit. Dennis Sullivan, IT. The mainframe, what's sitting down in Columbus now, Trevor, that was the stuff that was originally the big famous and the big applications. That was the stuff that was designed to be mainframe application hosted based. The stuff that's in the server farm that's still in Sterling building, that's the stuff that's application driven by server, production server, that is still in existence. Our moving physically out of the building didn't eliminate the redundancy and all the hookups that originally had as being the hotspot for the county.
Any other questions related to that item or anything else on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. So we move on now. Is there any additional public comment?
No, no public comment
Any other business?
and no other business.
So I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor of adjournment indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Go Browns.